4 years after its findings were submitted to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, the RCI into Lembaga Tabung Haji has finally been made public. The report uncovered allegations of creative accounting, political interference, weak governance, and costly investment decisions. How did an institution entrusted with billions of ringgit belonging to millions of Malaysian Muslims end up in such poor financial shape? Let me break it down for you. The RCI said the biggest issue was that Tabung Haji kept paying generous hibah or profit distributions even when it could no longer financially afford to do so. Under the Tabung Haji Act, hibah can only be paid if the fund's assets are at least equal to the liabilities. But according to the RCI, between 2014 and 2017, Tabung Haji relied on what it described as creative accounting. Instead of using the official values recorded in its accounts, Tabung Haji used a higher estimate of what its asset could be worth, while also not fully recognizing losses on investments that had fallen in value. In other words, imagine valuing your house based on what you hope to sell it for, instead of what it's actually worth today, while ignoring losses elsewhere in your finances. That's essentially what they did. A later review by PwC found that Tabung Haji had been operating with liabilities exceeding its assets since 2014. Had the accounts been properly prepared, the fund should have recorded a 1.4 billion ringgit loss in 2017 instead of the 3.4 billion ringgit profit it reported. But the accounting issues did not happen in isolation. The RCI found that political considerations shaped key decisions at Tabung Haji. Pressure to maintain generous hibah payouts and keep charges for Hajj artificially low despite rising costs meant decisions were often driven by politics rather than the fund's long-term financial health. This also led to a growing Hajj subsidy bill for Tabung Haji, which benefited all pilgrims regardless of their income level. In 2017, a consultant had already warned that Tabung Haji was paying hibah out of its reserves, causing those reserves to shrink. But management unfortunately ignored the warning amid political pressure ahead of the 2018 general election. The Commission said there were no records to show that the report was ever presented to the board. It's also worth noting that the chairman at the time was the then UMNO MP for Baling, Datuk Sri Abdul Aziz Abdul Rahim. The RCI also concluded that weak governance led to a series of poor investment decisions. It singled out 14 troubled investments, which together resulted in more than 3.5 billion ringgit in losses and impairments, and recommended that all of them undergo forensic audits to determine whether there was in fact misconduct, negligence, or breaches of duty. The largest was its investment in FGV Holdings, which, as we explained in a previous video, was also mired with mismanagement, questionable deals, and political interference. After subscribing to FGV's blockbuster IPO in 2012, Tabung Haji continued accumulating shares. But as the share price collapsed, the fund was left sitting on an unrealized loss of 1.06 billion ringgit. The Commission found that investment proposals in Tabung Haji were not subjected to sufficient scrutiny. Instead, the investment panel relied heavily on recommendations made from management, while ministers approved major investments without independent third-party advice. So, what happens now? The RCI said 4 police reports and 6 MECC referrals have already been made. It also revealed that several former senior managers who initially faced dismissal were later only demoted after appeals and remain in senior positions within the Tabung Haji group. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has vowed that anyone found responsible for the losses suffered by Tabung Haji will be brought to justice. The Parliament will hold a special sitting on August 11 to debate the RCI report, while the MECC has formed a special task force to investigate possible offences, including corruption, criminal breach of trust, and abuse of power. So the RCI has answered one major question: what went wrong in Tabung Haji? The question now then is whether these findings will lead to real accountability, meaningful reforms, and lasting changes that will ensure an institution entrusted with billions of ringgit belonging to the rakyat never finds itself in this position again.